Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me, hey, what's up? My name's Jackie. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So I hope that's why you're here, because that's what's going to be happening. If you're not new to me, thank you for always tuning in and the continued support. So today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. This is from April 10th through April 16th and all my reading adventures and shenanigans in between. So I hope you're ready because I've got some stuff to talk about. So grab yourself a drink and let's get started. So I left off on April 9th, having just completed the first 80 pages of A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This is the first installment of the Mirror Visitors Quartet. And I was reading this for the mini readathon called the Peace Talks within the month-long readathon of Realmathon. That's a lot of thons in one sentence, I'm sorry. Realmathon, hosted by Cassidy over at Covers with Cassidy. I'll link her announcement video down below. So I was 80 pages in when I left off, and I thought this book was a trip then. This book is crazy, but it's really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm very glad to say that I finished it for that Peace Talk. So I got the Peace Talk points, I got my Polar Fantasy points, I got all my points for all the prompts. It was fantastic. So I really like that a book that I enjoyed got me so many prompts for my team. So I'm really, really excited about that. I was giving this kind of a soft 4 at 80 pages. This thing's a straight 4 for me. It was fantastic. I really wanted to be a 5 though. I really wanted to be a 5, but it just wasn't there for me. It just wasn't. But it had a lot of elements and a lot of components that I definitely want to go into and flesh out. So I will be doing a full book review on this book, and I will be hopefully getting that up sometime this coming week, because I'm planning on working on the outline on Easter Sunday and Monday and all of that jazz. But a little bit of background about it. So we follow Ophelia. She is our main protagonist. She's a young girl, and she lives on the ark called Anima, however you want to say it. I believe it's Anima. And she is an animist, which is a really fancy word for someone who can read the history of an object if they touch it. So she's got this power, and she holds this object, and she can read all the way back to its creation and read the histories of anybody who's ever come into contact with this object at the time of contact. So it's really kind of cool power. I really enjoyed this concept, and I was really intrigued at how they were going to utilize it in the book, and it wasn't really utilized the way I thought it was going to be. But again, this is only just the first installment, so hopefully it will become a major component, because right now it's just kind of something cool she can do. Another cool thing about our lead character of Ophelia is that she can walk through mirrors. Another really kick-ass power that's not entirely utilized the way I thought it was going to be. But I could definitely see where they're going with that utilization of it. So this book was a lot of setup, a lot of world building, a lot of introducing of characters and clans and things of that nature. Because we did meet quite a few characters. We meet Thorn, who is the pseudo love interest in the book. And that's a point that I really want to talk about, is that romance. So I definitely will be fleshing that out in my review. But let's just put it this way. I don't know if this romance is even going to happen. It is either not going to happen, it's actually not even in existence, and I'm just seeing it because I really want a romance, or it is so slow of a burn that it could just fizzle out and you forget about it. Like, it's so weird, this romance. And I really like the character of Thorn, even though he's kind of a dick. I still really enjoy his character, and I don't know if it's just me wanting this romance, because I want to see this like enemies to lover kind of unite thing, because I like the enemies to lovers trope. I don't know if it's just me wanting it so bad, or if it's actually there. It's just so freaking slow that it's like sloth level slow. So I don't know, but I definitely want to be fleshing that out in my review. And the world building in this book, the world that this book created is such a trip. Like, I feel like you might actually have to be on drugs to actually completely understand this world. The world was at one time a whole unit, and then it got smashed, and now we have all these little arcs. And Ophelia is from the arc of Animea. Thorn is from the Ark of Pole, and Ophelia is contracted to marry Thorn as kind of like a political alliance. So she has to go over to the Ark of Pole, and it's this frigid, cold, mean, just kind of climate. And the people are just like that. They all are backstabby, and there's no one they can really, no one she can really trust. I mean, she can't even trust her own family. And everybody apparently on this pole, on this Ark of Pole, hates Thorn. Hates him. So de facto hates her. And they have to pretend she's not even there, and she's somebody else. And all this other stuff she has to hide. And it's so crazy, the political machinations that are going on. I mean, this book is really setting up for some serious stuff. So I'm really excited about the upcoming installments of the series. I bought the rest of the series already because I really want to find out what happens. But it's a very trippy book. It's a very, very trippy book. It's very lyrical. It's very beautifully written. It's got these flowery details, but at the same time, it's got these jagged edges that just like cut out of nowhere. And it's so interesting, this juxtaposition that Christelle Davos has created in this world. It's really, really unique. And I really enjoyed it. I did. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the installments. So that was the first book down this week. After that book, I decided to pick up Gotrek and Felix, the first omnibus. I am reading the second installment in this bind-up for my deterrent challenge. And I drew the same challenge of read a book your husband owns. I've drawn that challenge 2 times in a row, and the Cosmos just think I should read this book. And the second installment of this is called Skaven Slayer. And, well, let me just tell you about it. All right. So Skaven Slayer follows more of our character of Felix, our bard. And I got to know more about him, his family. I got a little bit more romance with him. So I was super pumped. Sorry. We'll set him down here. I was super pumped about that. But then I met, like, the Skaven. And every time I read about the Skaven and what they were doing, this is all I was picturing. The ROUSs from Princess Bride. Rodents of unusual size. This is literally every time I read them, I'm seeing these fucking creepy, nasty looking fucking rats. All right? Skaven are rats. And I don't like rats. I don't like them. And so this whole book was fighting rats. I was not happy. I was not happy about it. I was very unnerved. And some of the things they were talking about the rats doing, and they were nibbling and eating on each other. And is it cannibalism if you're the same? Like, is it cannibalism if you're animals? I want to know. Like, I don't honestly know. If you know, let me know. But it's just, ugh. But these are rat people. They talk. They have minds. They're not very smart. They're kind of fucking dumb. And you see that throughout the entirety of the story. I mean, seriously, some of the plans they came up with to overtake this city that Gotrek and Felix happen to be inhabiting in the time of this book called Nuln, it's brilliant plans. I'm like, these are actually pretty cool. I'm like, okay, this could be kind of cool. This could be good. But then they foil themselves because they're idiots. And it was annoying. It was incredibly annoying. And I remember clearly telling my husband when I started this book on Monday that I was going to like, I think I'm going to like this a whole lot more than Troll Slayer because I've got Felix. He's got a little love interest. I got a little bit more of the bounce go out time. And I was excited. And then I get rats. I get these fuckers. And I'm just, I don't like rats. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh God. And then to make matters worse, this book is only 244 pages of this whole thing, right? It took me all fucking week to read it because there's really not a lot of dialogue, and it's all very action-packed, so I had to sit there and kind of make sure I was on track and following, so I knew where certain people were at certain times. And the dialogue that was there was mostly the rats. And, ugh. In this book, so there are 3 books within this one omnibus, and I don't play Warhammer 40,000, which is the little miniature game that these books surround around. So I don't actually know how these books fall into that said game. And I believe that they do, but it reads very episodic, and I just don't feel like I like this episode at all. But I liked the more familiar I got with Felix. I liked more learning about him and his backstory. Fine. This bush is going to stay on the floor, because that's where rats, people, rats. Okay, so, excuse me. I wasn't the biggest fan of this one, but I still gave it a 3, because I understood the progression of this story and where it was going because of the ending. And so I'm like, and then you hook me. Thanks. Appreciate it. But yeah, Skaven Slayer. Rats. Rodents of unusual size. The entire book. Gross. So, after I finished this book on Friday, because it took me all effing week to read this book, and I wasn't very busy. It was just, I don't even know why. It took me so long to read. It just did. Friday was the 15th, and Tome Topple started. So my intention was to pick up my classic, but I didn't get to it. So I went right into my Tome Topple prompts, and I picked up Malice by John Gwynne. I have finally started this. I'm only 21, 25 pages in, so I don't really have anything really to say about it, except that I have started it. I have started it, and I'm going to spend pretty much most of Easter Sunday reading this book and working on my A Winter's Promise review. So that's what I have for physical books. Not super excited because I spent a whole week on rat people. The next installment of this is Demon Slayer, and my husband says it's a lot better. Like, I will enjoy that one a whole hell of a lot more, because even he hated, well, he didn't hate Skaven Slayer, but he hated the rats too because they're incredibly stupid. Like, they just do stupid things. They just do stupid things. But while I am reading this book, I'm still working on my Audible book of Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. And I have progressed a little bit into it. And we have our kiss. We have our first kiss between Edward and Bella. And I'm excited because that was one of my favorite parts of Twilight. They've had the first overnight where she knew that Edward was there. And he's still whiny. He is still whiny. God, he's still whiny. But his whining is starting to change a little bit. It's not so much, I'm tortured, I can't do this, I can't be around her. It's more of, not so much whining for himself. It's more whining because he's concerned, because now he's like, okay, she likes me too. Now, I have to deal with the vampire thing, but now I have the level of how do I actually have a relationship? And it's that kind of concern. And I can kind of handle that because we've all been there. You know, how do we make this work? How do we have these conversations? I mean, they have other conversations other than just, you know, hey, what do you want to do for our date tonight? You know, they, you know, have sort of talked about sex. I mean, it's still YA, so they can't get super graphic with it, but I enjoyed seeing his internal monologue on that conversation, because all you got was Bella's and you get this stone cold face, pale vampire. And you see him kind of like, I don't I'm still a dude. I'm still a man. I still find you attractive. And I still want you. And you hear Bella saying, you know, like, well, why would you want me? You know, like, and every girl has felt that at some point in time. And guys are just like, I'm fucking here, dude. That's why I want you, you know, because I'm here. If I didn't want you, I wouldn't be here. And so you see that with him, and I enjoy that. It's kind of calming, and it kind of overrides the whining just a little bit more. And I'm excited about that. So I'm not so annoyed with the whining anymore, but he still whines. He still needs to get over himself and get over it. But they had the big meadow scene where she sees him for the first time, and to see his perspective of what she looked like looking at him was really cool, because she looked scared. And in Twilight, you don't find her looking scared. You hear about how she looks mesmerized, and he looks like diamonds, and, you know, he's beautiful. But the shock on her face to Edward was like, oh my God, she thinks I'm a demon. Holy crap. Oh shit. This is it. It's over. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. So I enjoyed that part about it. I'm still plugging my way through. I believe I'm actually halfway through now. But that was the big highlight of what I listened to in the last week in regards to Twilight and Midnight Sun and all of that paranormal stuff. There was one other thing I participated in this week that was reading-wise, and that was the live show for the SJM Read Along. It was on Saturday night, and I got to participate in it. I was not on the panel. I just got to do the live chats, and I learned that I suck at typing. I had so many grammatical errors. Jen actually read my comment, and she read it out loud. She's like, oh, you weren't. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't proofread it before I sent it through. So I felt like an idiot. I'm like, Jen thinks I'm stupid now. That sucks. Because I really like her. But I really liked the way that they did the panel. They had some people that were up there for rereading the series, and then people up there who this is their first time through. But I have found through watching it and reading a lot of the comments that, and this goes for any type of book that you talk about, it's hard to talk to someone in a big series like this, to someone who has already read the series, whether it's a second reread, or there were some people on there that's like their third or fourth time rereading this entire series. So like, it can be very difficult for us newbies to read it, because the only experience we have is this one book, and all I had to talk about was Throne of Glass and the Pirate Lord. So that's all I had, and they did a really good job of just staying within that frame window. But you could see in the ones that have read it before, like some of the concerns that were brought up, like the world building. Like, yeah, I know the world gets built further on in the series, but this is my only experience for it. So there are way too many questions for me to be okay. I know they get answered, but there's still a lot more questions than I'm okay with. Like, it's enough that I'm making a point to say it, because I wanted more of this world building. And, you know, talking about the character arcs, you could definitely tell if you didn't know who up there had read it before versus who had read it before, you could clearly tell based off when they talked about the characters who had read it before and who didn't, just by the way they talked about the characters. Because I found that the two up there that hadn't read the series before, they held the same opinions I did. She was kind of annoying. She was a little bratty. She's a little bit badass, but, you know, she didn't kill anybody. She talks a big game, and she's not really showing it up. But the other people were, you know, like, yeah, we get that. You know, it's just the way they talk. And it's very difficult to do that, but I think they did a fantastic job. And I was really excited about being part of it and getting to do it. And I'm really looking forward to the next one, which is, I want to say it's April 28th. And they will be following Crown of Midnight and Assassin and the Healer, those two stories. So I'm looking forward to picking those up and getting ready for that live show. I had a good time experience. It was my first time ever really hardcore partaking in them. And so I had a good time, but I did find that it's hard, and it's gonna be hard on both sides. So both parties it's difficult, but they did a fantastic job of, you know, kind of, you know, smoothing out that layer of difficulty, and just trying to stay on point for us newbies, and not, you know, saying like, hey, well, you know, whatever, you'll get over that, or, you know, hey, if you're team Kayal, and I did find out that I was saying his name wrong, so it's Kayal, like chaos without the S, it's just an L. So I did find out that, so I corrected. I'm sorry for saying it wrong the first go around. Corrected myself, but like, you know, you go ahead and have your teams now. They're like, yeah, I want to have my teams. Don't ruin the teams for me. I know it's gonna get ruined because I always choose wrong. So. But they did a fantastic job, and I'm really excited about it, and I had fun participating in it, and I'm glad I'm part of it. So yeah, that is my weekly wrap up. That's what I got for you guys today. So I will see you all soon with another video, and just let me know what you guys have been up to. If you got this far in the video, put a little, I think there's a sword emoji. I think there is. If there is, put a sword emoji, because I'm reading Malice now. So let's get going. All right, I'll see you guys all soon with another video.